and Edward. Rhonda from Jersey. I see you, Rhonda Bagby from Jersey. Very nice to see you today. Let's see who else is in here. Let's see. I see Claudia, Travis. Let's see here. Who else? And feel free to shout out your city too. Let's see here. Oh, Claudia is from London. London. Oh, you had a bad Wi-Fi connection. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Black London. I love Black London. I was embarrassed when I went to London because I didn't know that I had so much support out there. And I literally got out there and just all these people came and it's totally sold out. There's so many people there. And I felt guilty because I said, I really don't I need to acknowledge Black London more because you all are so awesome and smart and I remember doing the book signing when I was in London. And it's kind of a dream come true to just sit there and just have like this line of 200, 300 people willing to like wait in line to for you to sign their book. Like as much as because sometimes I'll be tired. Sometimes I'll be like, oh my God, look at that line. My hands are tired. It's gonna wear me out. But then I'll be like, Boyce, what are you talking about? Like this is you're living a dream, man. This is awesome. And that's what I do. I slap myself into reality and I say, dude, this is a blessing. Stop complaining. Stop whining. People have real problems. And so when I stopped complaining, I realized what a blessing that was. And I remember when London, I remember noticing one big difference that I noticed, and I had to be just straight up honest about this, is that I noticed when I was in Black London versus when I do things in other cities that I love in the US, like say Brooklyn. Brooklyn's one of my favorite cities, and LA. I love to go do stuff in LA and Houston. I noticed that there were a lot more like mother, father, children combinations. Like almost every single family that came up was like a complete family. And not to say there's anything wrong with our families per se, but I think that it really made me think about how much effort was put into breaking up our families, right? How much effort was put into dividing Black men and Black women, which really I think disrupts the children, which makes it very difficult for them to build wealth. It's very hard for a child to build wealth if they're kind of stumbling into adulthood, like they're stumbling in, like you're going into the Super Bowl and you stumble into the game and you don't know what the rules are. You haven't done any training. You don't have any pads on. You don't know the difference between the end zone and the bathroom. So, but yet people are like, oh, well, you got an opportunity to win. But the question is, to me, what really happened to this child before they became an adult, and how did that impact their ability to even see or pursue an opportunity? You understand? To really take advantage of an opportunity, first off, you got to just know that it's an opportunity. That's the first thing. You got to see it. And that requires a certain level of consciousness. A lot of people miss their blessing because they don't even see the blessing. When it walks right by them, money walks right by them, and they literally just throw it in the toilet or they walk past it because they think the money is a piece of toilet paper or something like that. So first of all, to be able to take advantage of an opportunity, you've got to know that the opportunity is an opportunity. That's the first thing. The second thing is to take advantage of an opportunity, you kind of have to be positioned to take advantage of it. It's like you think about an investment, a financial investment. A lot of you have heard statements like it takes money to make money, right? You've heard this. Well, if you don't have any money and the opportunity is a big opportunity, but it requires you to have money to be positioned to take advantage of the opportunity, then you might as well not even have the opportunity. Like or somebody says, I got a great job for you, but it requires you to have a car and I don't have a car, then that means I have no job. You understand? And I really think that reflecting on that is kind of important because a lot of times our children go out into the world and they're not positioned to identify opportunities, nor are they in the position to take advantage of those opportunities. And I think a lot of that starts with the family structure. I think that if you're kind of stumbling through chaos in your life and you don't really have stability and you're not being mentored by the right people, then how in the hell are you going to take advantage of opportunities? The world, people could give you every opportunity on earth, but if you're not even mentally healthy enough to identify and pursue the opportunity, which might require some discipline or sacrifice or investment, it's hard for you to do that. If I'm a drug addict, for example, you could literally wave any amazing opportunity on earth in front of me, but if it requires me to like not get high anymore, then I'm gonna miss it. Right. So if you think about just what drugs does to the Black community in terms of killing economic potential, it kills your ability to identify and to utilize the opportunities that God gave you. Does that make sense? And so as we do money in the morning financial consciousness training, I want you to kind of reflect on that, and I want us to really reflect on the kids and just sort of what that looks like to really create a stable space where the child even has the ability to elevate. A person can't elevate if they can't handle the basic needs. A lot of you know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs basically says that every person has basic fundamental needs in the beginning, like food and water and stuff like that. And then the next notch up is safety and security, just feeling physically safe, like nobody's going to kill you. And then you move up to the higher level stuff. So that's why if you have kids that go to school and they don't even feel safe in their neighborhood because they live near gangbangers and might shoot them in the head on the way to eighth grade class, it's going to be hard for that kid to visualize growing up and becoming a mathematician or a rocket scientist or an attorney. They're trying to figure out how to get home without getting killed and how to eat breakfast that morning. They're on that level. They can't operate at the higher frequency because they're struggling on that lower frequency. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Give me a yes if you follow this. And this is one of the reasons why stable families are so important, because when you are creating stability around a child and safety around the child and security around the child, then that lets the child stop worrying about the basics so they can focus on the higher level stuff. They ain't got to worry about level one and level two. They can focus on three, four, five, six. Do you understand? It's like their mind is like a building, and instead of and because the building has a solid foundation, they can focus on the penthouse. They can live in the penthouse knowing that the building is not going to collapse like the World Trade Center, which happens for so many of our children, because you can't live in the penthouse of a building that doesn't have a good foundation. Do you understand? So this is one of the reasons why I've always argued, some of my ideas I know are a little bit odd and awkward and unconventional, but I've always argued that we should have parenthood training incentivized. I really think it should be required, but incentivized. How about that? Use a carrot instead of a stick. Incentivize for people to literally get money to go through classes on how to get married and stay married, how to choose the right person to marry, how to plan your when you're going to have kids so that you can do it the right way, how to make sure you raise the kid in a healthy environment, how to create a stable space for that child, because if the child doesn't have the basics, then how are we going, if they come up, they show up and are talking to me, and I'm a college professor and I'm meeting them at the age of 21, and their whole life has been nothing but one disaster after another, then we can't move to the higher level stuff. We got to handle the basics. The basics are not fixed. Do you know how many people in the world do terrible things to other people, do terrible things to their kids, do terrible things to their women, do terrible things to their men because they have unresolved issues from childhood? Terrible things happen to them when they were little. Maybe they got molested or abandoned or whatever, and they literally go through life just wreaking havoc on other people. It's like a runaway nuclear missile. That's what there's a lot of power. I just reflect all the time, for example, on my power as a father. I have a lot of power as a father. I'm the head of the household. I'm the man of the house. All these other things. I have a lot of money. I can, I can do a lot of things in this house to harm people if I wanted to, if I was not conscious of how my behavior was affecting other people. So if I can imagine if I came in the house, this is one of the reasons why I don't drink or anything, because I told my wife, I said I don't want to drink. I have to not only set an example, but I want to make sure my behavior is appropriate. I don't want to go around traumatizing people, because I know I'm a strong man. I know that I know what happens when Boyce becomes determined, and I need Boyce to be determined to do something good, as opposed to Boyce getting some liquor in his blood, or a little bit too much weed and PCP in his body, and then use that energy to do something bad. I'm not going to let that be the version of myself that shows up for you and the kids, because that's going to really harm a lot of people, and I'm causing generational trauma. See, you see what I want you to. In fact, let me give you an example. Then I'm going to get to another topic I actually want to hear. I actually wanted to talk about Kendrick Lamar and Drake, because I think there's a lot of hidden economics here that I actually made some notes this morning, that because I was just thinking about the Drake Kendrick thing, and I think that it's fun to talk about it from a different angle. But anyway, there's a guy I knew. Here's one example. I told this story before. If you've heard it before, forgive me. That means you listen to me a lot. So congratulations. That means you're a real one if you already know the story. But a lot of you don't. So I'm gonna share the story because I think it's an interesting story, a great example of financial consciousness and stuff like that. So there was this old man that I knew. I dated a girl a long time ago who had a grandfather who was 92 years old. And this 92-year-old man lived all by himself in this house. And we would go see him and stuff because she would go stay up there and stuff like that. And and I remember this old man. I remember thinking, I wonder why he lives all by himself. And it was interesting. He wasn't rich, but he would get his social security check. And he had a girlfriend that was about 28 years old, and she smoked crack with him. She would wait till he got his check, and then she would come by and they would smoke crack together. This is crazy, but true, right? And I just thought it was so interesting, so fascinating. This 90-some-year-old man smoking crack, but he's a tough old dude. And I was like, why is he living by himself at 90 something years old? Where's his family? Where are the people that are supposed to be looking out for him? He had 5, 6 children, he had grandchildren, all this other stuff. And what I found out, I asked around and I said, what's going on? And they said, I remember she told me, she said, none of his relatives will even come near him. And I said, why? He's a nice little old man. He just smokes a little crack, but he ain't hurt nobody. And she said that, well, 40 years ago, he used to be a gangster. Everybody want to be a gangster, right? And he was a hitman for some gang, like mafia style. And he would just kill people. And he also used to abuse his family in every way imaginable. And his wife, who was married to him back in the 70s or the 60s, she was afraid of him because he pulled out what was it, a butcher knife or a hatchet or a machete or something, and tried to kill her with a machete. And I said, oh, now this makes sense. And the truth is that because his behavior was so horrible. And again, he's the man of the house. He's the strongest person in the house. He's a big, mean, tough guy. And he was not conscious of how his behavior affected other people. Let me just tell you, all of his kids and grandkids were pretty much butt naked crazy. Just butt naked crazy. Just traumatized, evil, broken families. Nobody stayed married or anything like that. They were the types that would pop off and do something crazy to you if you hurt their feelings and made them mad. So he had kind of spread almost like a disease, like a psychological STD that he gave all these people because of his behavior back in like 1948. So the thought that I want you to kind of consider is, what if he was mentally healthy? What if he'd had good mentorship? Typically, when people are abusive and harmful to others, chances are somebody was more harmful to them than they've been to anybody. Like a lot of times, it might be a step up from what they had to go through. So I'm assuming that he probably went through some pretty horrible things in his own life, right? That they kind of led to this generational trauma. But what if it was the opposite? What if he'd had somebody that created a safe, loving, secure environment for him? What if he had somebody that mentored him and said, "Look, as a man, you're very powerful, and you can elevate people or you can destroy them. You have to use that power very consciously." Made him conscious of his behavior and how it would affect others. Well, then the exact opposite would have been true. Instead of his children and grandchildren going through life destroying things, they would have actually been building things. Instead of harming people, they would have been helping people. Instead of taking people down a notch, they would be elevating the world. Do you understand? So it's very important to understand the power all of us have. All of us, a lot of us. How many of you got kids? Any parents in here? Anybody a parent or a mentor or an uncle or an aunt? If you have an influence on a young person, I encourage you to be really conscious of the influence that you have, and just know that, literally just a couple of healthy conversations and some words of encouragement and just a little bit of love and can really go a long way. And I encourage you also, another reason I think therapy is beneficial is because it's not because of what it does for you. Therapy doesn't just do a lot for you. It does a lot for anybody that's influenced and affected by you. Do you understand? So it ain't just for you. And again, when you talk about building strong ecosystems and strong communities and all that, you have to think like that, right? So in fact, actually, if you think about this, let's take this to the white man real quick. One of the goals of Massa, when he was seeking ways to oppress black people and really destroy the Black Power movement, was they said, we want to destroy the economics of the black community. We want to destroy families. We want to destroy particularly the economic abilities of the black male. right? We don't want black men out here feeling good about themselves, making money and succeeding and building things. We want to create chaos and destruction. That's where the drugs come from. And then one of the other mechanisms they threw in there was massive amounts of unemployment. So then I remember talking to an older guy who told me that he never worked for anybody in his whole life, and he said that because he grew up seeing the literal development of the wino. He said he knew a lot of men that were proud men, hardworking men who worked in the factories and the steel mills, and then suddenly these communities lost all their factories and all their steel mills, and these guys had nothing to do. Their whole purpose had been centered around this idea of finding a good white man to work for, and then the jobs were taken away, and so they had no purpose. They had nowhere to go. They had nothing that they thought was connected to their purpose other than showing up every day and working for whoever gave them a job. So when the jobs are gone, their humanity was gone. A big part of who they were was gone. And he said, I saw these men just deflate into nothing, and that led me to know one simple fact, a simple truth that I think we should consider when it comes to not allowing people to do that to us. And he said, I told myself back then, I'm never going to get a job working for anybody. I'm going to learn how to make money. I'm not going to learn how to get a job. I'm going to learn how to make money. Because if you think that way, then that means, yeah, sure, you could get a job if you want to. This guy, he'd had jobs, but he said, I want to understand that if I don't get a job, I'm not going to let that take away from my ability to be a man. You understand? So part of the reason that it was so easy for them to destroy us and to dismantle the black movement is because they said, okay, let's lure them to sleep. Let's lull them to sleep by getting them to all come and work for us. Because if they all come and work for us, then we can dismantle them anytime we want. If they need us to turn the lights on financially in their community, then we can just hit the switch and shut it all down. So really, from a security standpoint, we did not process this. We did not say, if I become economically dependent on you, then bad things can happen if you ever get upset with me or I ever lose your favor. We don't understand that. Look, if you have the ability to lift me up financially, then you also have the ability to destroy me. The person that has the ability and the right to feed you is also the person that can starve you. Do you understand? So really, to some extent, really sort of thinking about these things and being conscious of these risks that are inherent in the way we approach our economics is critical if you're going to be successful in America. If you're going to talk about freedom and all these other things we want to talk about, you can't really talk about freedom when you want every black man on earth to go work for a white man. Ain't no freedom attached to that unless he gives it to you. At that point, you have signed up for something that is not necessarily to your benefit. So even when people tell me why I should vote for this candidate over the other, and then they start saying, well, they created jobs for black people. I don't really want a job. I don't want to. What do I look like working for Maslow? How the hell can I do what I do? And I'm up here trying to fit what I'm doing under the umbrella of what a white man understands and can appreciate. That's not going to work. And so really, if we don't shift our thinking, then freedom will be something that we'll only dream about. It'll be only something that we talk about. It'll never be something that we actually have, because freedom does require a level of sacrifice. Freedom is not free. So if you're not willing to sacrifice, then freedom, just let other people talk about it, because that's not going to be your existence. Okay. So the question is, are you willing to make that sacrifice? What does that mean for you? All right. So by the way, some of you have been asking how to invest in the stock market. And I told you all that my goal is to get 100% of you to own stock. And a lot of you have heard me, and a lot of you are buying stock and all that. But those of you who haven't, Tuesday, I'm going to do a special training on how to invest in the stock market, and literally, it's for either beginners or people who've never done it. I'm going to put the link in here where you can click in and join. It's 149 one time for lifetime access to all the material, all the slides, there's bonus stuff and all that thing, everything in there. Or you can do a $1 trial in the Black Stock Market program and get in for free. So it's totally up to you. That link I just shared with you is the link you can click on to learn and read more about what we're going to do on Tuesday. It's going to be Tuesday at noon. If you can't make it, the recording will be made available to everyone who signs up or everyone who is in the Black Stock Market program. If you want to do the $1 trial in the Black Stock Market program, you can click on the link of the message I just sent you, or you can also go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. And also, I'll text this out to you. Get on the text list if you'd like to If you'd like to be on the list, just text the word morning, MORNING, to 87948. Text morning to 87948. Now, Deborah says that the link is not working. Now, can somebody else click on the link and let me know if it's working or not? And if it's not working, then I'll find another way to give you the link. It's supposed to work. It works for me, but if it doesn't work for you, then I'd like to fix that. So can someone click that link I just shared and just tell me if it's taking you to a page? It should take you to an email with information. Okay, it's interesting. It's kind of a mixed bag. Some of you are saying it's okay. A lot of you are saying that it's working, and then some of you are saying that it's not working. So I don't know what that's about. But anyway, okay. Akila says no, but Steven says yes. Regina says yes. Lisa says yes. Sharon says yes. Okay, so what I'll do is later on today, if you're on the text list, text the word morning to 87948, and I'll send out another link where you can do the free trial. And then yeah, try another browser and says that. So I apologize if technology, you know how technology is. You can't depend on this crap. Anyway, all right. So let me now again, if you don't see the link, just get on the text list, and I'm going to text it out again later on today. So the to get on the text list, text the word morning, MORNING, to 87948. If you text morning to 87948, I'll also invite you to our morning class. We do economic elevation, financial consciousness every single morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 days a week, without missing any days except for when I have to travel or something like that. So feel free to join. I think it's beneficial. So let me talk about something that was really on my head today, with Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Give me a yes if you are following kind of what's going on with hip hop and Kendrick Lamar and Drake. And if you're not, I encourage you to follow it, because I think it's very important that we know what's happening in the culture, right? Because when they say the culture, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes the culture is something good. Sometimes the culture is something that's going to get us all killed and destroy our kids, and just leave us ignorant and broke and devastated. So one big thing that happened in the culture is that two of the biggest rappers in the world, Kendrick Lamar and Drake, kind of got into it. And it looks like Kendrick, I would say Kendrick won. Kendrick kind of came in with with some haymakers on Drake. And what they do is they rap against each other, which is fine, right? As long as nobody's getting hurt. Somebody did get shot actually, but I don't know if that was related to this beef or not. But anyway, it didn't get too out of pocket, but again, somebody got shot, so that's always not a good thing. But anyway, so Kendrick Lamar has really been going at it, and Drake has kind of been sitting there silently. And the interesting thing about this is I thought it would be fun from a financial consciousness standpoint to kind of talk about the economics of this beef, because with hip hop beef, it's kind of a mixed bag. On one hand, war tends to be costly. War tends to destroy economics, particularly if you're talking about your family members, things like that. When you start, if you're making money, if you're getting money with a sibling, and then y'all start beefing and start trying to destroy each other, that's going to cost you money. You'll get mad and you sue each other. That's going to cost you money. The business will be destroyed, and you're going to pay money because of lawsuits and chaos, or damaged reputations. When two people are fighting, there's an old saying that says that when two people are fighting, they both look like idiots from a distance. So a lot of times, how you negotiate your conflicts, how you resolve them, or how you walk away from them really makes a big difference, right? Because generally speaking, if you're beefing with me, in a way, it's kind of like how you deal with risk. Like I've told you all that in finance and in investing, there's three ways to deal with risk. I studied risk management extensively when I was working on my PhD. I worked under a guy named Renee Stoltz, who's one of the leading risk management experts on the planet. And there's three major ways you can deal with risk. One, you can either, just absorb it, just say, you know what, it is what it is. I'm willing to take whatever comes with it, and I'm fine with that. You can manage it, like you can go pay money to get rid of it. You can buy insurance. You can hire security guards. You can do something that's going to minimize your risk to get it to a comfortable level. You go to Best Buy and they say, there's a risk that your laptop is going to blow up on itself in the next year. Do you want to pay $200 to make sure that we're going to cover you in the event that, that something goes wrong? You can either absorb the risk and say, nah, I'll take the chance. Or you say, no, here's $200, cover me because I don't want to take this. Or the third thing you can do is you can just walk away. You just say, you know what? I don't even want to I don't want the laptop because I don't want to take that chance. Or I don't want to even invest in the stock market because I don't want to lose money. I don't want to get on the airplane because I don't want to take the chance that the plane's going to go down. That I'm not comfortable even taking this risk on any level. So generally, I would say that with beef, it's kind of the same thing. Very similar. If someone's beefing with me, I've got, I guess, a couple of ways I can deal with it. I can either maybe try to resolve it and engage and kind of say, okay, how do we work this out and reduce, like, de-escalate this conflict? I can just sit there and let you just rail on me and talk crazy about me or whatever. Believe me, take it from somebody who's had people beef with me on the internet, where sometimes I don't respond, sometimes I have, but most of the time I might just sit there and say, should I even should I even address this? Like, should I even manage this, or do I just let them talk and let you get it out of your system? Because I know the internet is going to be talking about something else the next week anyway. And then there's like this other way to just kind of walk away from something, which kind of overlaps a little bit with the other explanation, right? Where literally you can either engage, or you can walk away, or you can de-escalate. So with Kendrick and Drake, I would say that there were three ways that Kendrick and Drake could have dealt with each other. They could either escalate, which is what a lot of rappers do, like they'll just try to out rap each other, which can actually have economic benefits. Their studies show that when rappers have beefs, they tend to make more money, they get bigger followings on social media, and their albums get more attention. Attention is a commodity, so this is one area where beef does work. You have multi-million dollar entities like the Verses, created by Timberland and Swiss Beats. It's made a lot of money by pitting artists up against each other, and there's nothing wrong with that friendly competition. And really, it's not a competition completely, because really both sides end up winning. Both sides get the attention of the entire internet, which is kind of cool. But then there's like the darker side of beefing, right? The darker side is that if I hate you and you hate me, and we take it too far, we're gonna destroy each other and kill each other's ability to make money. Like, if we're two boxers and I'm mad at you enough to fight you, then that's great. We're gonna have a big fight. Everybody's gonna talk about it. Millions of dollars will be made. It's really cool. But there has to be a limit. There has to be a point where we say, okay, the fight's over now. Let's focus on the bigger picture. There has to be a level of consciousness. Even Mike Tyson had that consciousness. Anybody ever remember watching Mike fight guys, where he would literally, like, before the fight, he would play it up and he'd look him in the face. He had that gold tooth and he just looked like he's from the street, like he might just kill you, like, I'm gonna knock your head off. And he would just look at him like, I hate you, I hate your mama, I can't stand you. You keep talking, I'm gonna kill you. And then Mike would go in the ring and he would just, in 30 seconds, that guy, wow, wow, wow. Next thing you know, the guy's gone. And Mike would just kind of do this crazy thing when he would bop back and forth and then throw two or three punches, and this big old guy would just come down like a chimney tree. And it would happen in like 30 or 45 seconds. If you never saw Tyson fight in his prime, you got to go watch a video on it, because it was amazing. But then after the fight, did anybody notice this? After the fight, you saw a different Tyson. After the fight, Mike would not, he wouldn't talk crazy about the guy who's laying on the floor fighting for his life, who damn near got his brain knocked out of his ear. Mike would say, he's a really great fighter, and I really have a lot of respect for him. He's an excellent, outstanding competitor, and I'd like to fight him again. Right? Mike would turn into a different guy, and that was the professionalism. That was him saying, "No, I don't need you to die or anything, because that's a little too serious." And then Mike would go up and give the guy a hug and whisper in his ear and say, "You're really good, and I really enjoy fighting you, and I wish you the very best. And well, welcome to you and your family." Like, it was different, and he would go in a different zone. And to me, what I saw there was Mike understood just what beef is supposed to be. Beef is like a rocket ship, which basically, if you know anything about rocket ships with NASA, you know that a rocket ship is just a controlled explosion. That's all it is. It's an explosion. You need the combustion of the engine to create that thrust and that lift, to get that thing to fight against gravity and get to outer space. So you have little explosions inside the engine, but the explosions have to be controlled. If they're not controlled, then the whole rocket blows up, like the Space Shuttle Challenger in 1986. So you have to have, but you can't have no explosion, because then the rocket won't go anywhere, because there's no combustion. So you need that middle ground. You understand? You need just enough beef, just enough of an explosion to get the rocket off the ground and target it to the direction that you need it to go. But you don't need so much of an explosion that it completely destroys everything. So I think hip hop beef is kind of the same way. I'm going to argue that Kendrick Lamar definitely benefits from this beef with Drake, no question about it. He's gotten all the attention. Snoop Dogg named him the king of the West Coast, and he had all the different people, factions, and artists on the stage, and everybody was excited, and they're rapping this song, and they not like us, and it's a great song. It's a great little anthem, and it's cool. It's beautiful, and I listen to it. I'm like, they not like us. They not like us. And I'm like, that's what I've been saying. They not like us. They not like us. So when you talk about liberals, I'm like, they not like us. We talk about Democrats, Republicans. I'm like, they not like us. And I've been telling you from the beginning, my firm belief has always been for 25 years, I've always said, stop thinking that people are your friends when they're not your friends. Right? Like stop thinking that people that don't have your interests, your best interests at heart, are going to look out for you, are going to make sure you're good. Nobody, black people don't really have any allies except each other. And we don't even have each other sometimes, which makes it very, very frustrating. If you go through life and you believe the myth, the fairy tale, of integration and equality, then you're gonna spend your whole life getting your butt kicked. That to me, those ideas, I believe, were designed to get us to let our guard down because we want to be all fair and open to everybody, but they don't behave like that with us. Even one guy, I saw a guy who was from the Latino community who said they didn't have enough Latinos on stage with Kendrick, and that's not fair. And I said, yeah, maybe it's not fair, but I bet you that y'all wouldn't be trying to bring black people on stage if y'all was trying to do the same thing for your people, right? I see so many cases where y'all are doing stuff and y'all don't invite us to the party. Y'all can move in our neighborhood and we'll love you. We'll invite you to the cookout and give you a big hug. But we come to your neighborhood, we getting death threats. So I don't really. I think that we just have to kind of accept the idea that sometimes the people that you think are your friends really are not your friends. They not like us. They don't get it. They don't understand what we've gone through. They don't connect to 400 years of the most brutal slavery known to man. They do not connect or have empathy for Jim Crow, the war on drugs, all that horrible slavery, rape, castration, lynchings, all the stuff that we got, stolen land to the tune of $14 trillion. Very few Americans outside of the black community understand that. They don't like. That's why if I was to do a poll and I said, how many of you support reparations? Here's what's going to happen. Let me ask y'all this right now. How many of you believe black people deserve reparations? Give me a yes in the chat if you believe that black people deserve reparations for the 400 years of rape, torture, broken families, brutality, stolen labor, stolen wealth, stolen land. How many of y'all give me a yes if you agree with that? Okay, I have not seen a single no. Every single one of you, Marion and Agnes and Christian and Khalid and Aisha and Kareem, I see you in there. You're all saying yes. Not one of you has said no. Not one. But what if I was in a room full of white people? Well, it's easy. African Americans, it's much better for them than it used to be in the past. I saw Bill Maher have a debate with Charlemagne the God, who's, I like Charlemagne. I know, I know he's got shenanigans, but I try not to be too mean and judgmental of my friends, right? I just see it like, yeah, he's goofy sometimes, but the good outweighs the bad. And Charlemagne's debating with Bill Maher, and I think that the point came up something like, do you really believe it's 5 times harder for a black man to be successful in America than a white man? And Charlemagne said, of course it is. And Bill didn't get it. I think he called it a lie from hell or something crazy like that. So this is supposed to be your ally. This is somebody that's supposed to have your back. But they're not like us. They're not gonna get it. He does not understand. He's not capable. He's not qualified to even ask that question. Like that's where I sit. I sit and say, what in the mighty whiteness of your mindset makes you even think that you're even the person that should even be addressing this issue? How in the hell are you going to tell me what it's like to be a black man? How are you even evaluating that? At this point, I'm supposed to be the teacher. You're supposed to be the student. Let me know if you get what I'm saying. Like if a woman is telling me what it's like to be sexually assaulted, I can't sit here and tell her how she's supposed to feel about that or what that experience is like because I don't know. I cannot. I need to be quiet. I need to shut up and learn and listen. That's it. I can't. I'm not even qualified to have an opinion on that because I haven't gone through it. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. So this idea that there are people that have this paternalistic relationship with black people where they literally feel like they can tell us how hard it is to be black, that drives me crazy. That drives me crazy. So what I do like, personally, this is my personal opinion, is I like the fact that Kendrick drew that line in the sand to kind of just say, let's look at what's going on. Let's look at this industry. Let's look at the colonizer. You use that term colonizer. I'm like, yeah, they've been colonizing everything since integration, but you allowed the colonization because you forgot that they're not like us. You are thinking that people are your friends, and then they come in and they cherry pick in your community. I saw the other day where a white guy named JJ Redick got hired as the coach of the LA Lakers. And if you know anything about JJ Redick, you'll know that he was a great basketball player, a pretty good basketball player. I wouldn't say great. He was a pretty good player with an amazing jump shot. He was known for being a great shooter. He also has a podcast, apparently, but he's never ever coached a team before. He's never been a head coach. And there's another guy, Sam Cassell, who I believe is one of the assistant coaches for the Boston Celtics, who just won an NBA title. Cassell won NBA titles as a player. He has many years of experience as a coach, and he got passed over for the job. And I saw a guy who was like, "This is not fair. Explain this to me." He was outraged. He was like, "This ain't right. This is not fair. How are you gonna do this?" And I said, "Yeah, I get you. I hear you. I hear you." I said, "But one thing that you forgot is they don't owe you anything. They what makes you think that you can be in a league that's owned and run by white people and be treated the same as a white man? I don't understand who even told you that that was ever going to occur. I need you to go back and rewind the clock about 60 years when we had professional sports leagues that were owned and controlled by black people. We had the Negro leagues, and when we had the Negro leagues, we got to pick who the coaches were going to be. When we had the Negro leagues, we got to pick who the GM was going to be. When we had the Negro leagues, we were the ones who received the profit from the best athletes in the world. But no, you forgot that they not like us, and you let them come in. We did this together. Our ancestors did, because we were so enamored with the idea that this other guy is acknowledging us, that we let them come in and cherry pick our very best players. And they said, no, 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 we don't want y'all running the league. We don't want y'all making the decisions. We're going to make the decisions, but we're going to use you as a commodity. We'll pay you. We'll break you off a little something. We'll give you a nice salary, but we're never going to give you actual power. Do you understand? So now, years later, every year I hear the same damn thing. I hear the same complaint. Oh, they gave the job to the white man, and he's not more qualified than the black man. And I'm like, well, you don't understand. Let's go back to Kendrick Lamar. They not like us. They're not here to elevate your economic condition. They're not here to give you a fair shake. They're here to do what most human beings actually do. They will bring you in if it's a situation where they need you, or if it's a situation where they can get something from you, or if it's a situation where the people that they prefer are not available. And as much as we want to talk about the racism of it all, well, yes, there's racism's in there for sure. I think you got to also understand that this is also human nature. This is human nature. Let me explain why this is human nature. When I run a business, I've been a businessman for a long time. I don't live under the illusion that other people care about me as much as I need to care about myself. And when I have a job available and I'm trying to figure out who to hire for the job, I don't always just say, well, let me just go scour the earth and look at every stranger out here and find the most qualified person. You know what I do? I look around in my inner circle and I say, who can do this job that I know? Who are the people that I think are qualified that I can relate to, who are going to fit within the culture of my organization? And 9 times out of 10, it does end up being a person that looks like me. Doesn't mean I wouldn't do business with people outside of my group or my race or my family or my culture. Doesn't mean I can't connect to them on some level, but why would you choose the secondary option when you've got the primary option that's perfectly capable of doing the job? Why would I hire a stranger when one of my children is pretty good too? It's good enough according to my standards to do the job. Do you understand? So what I'm saying is that when you don't think about ownership, and you keep thinking that you live in a country where they're going to give you equal opportunities despite the nature of the environment, I think that you're living under an illusion. I think that that's a fantasy. I think that that is a fairy tale that's taught as a bedtime story in every public school in America. That racism is a thing of the past, that you live in a post-racial society. They used to use that term a lot when Obama got elected. And no, you live in a very racial society. So if you ask me, if somebody says, well, Dr. Boyce, do you think that JJ Redick got the Lakers job because he's white? I say, well, hell yeah. White folks are running that organization. They're gonna have the same biases that you and I might have. And I don't know. I'm not saying it's okay or good. I'm not saying that Sam Cassell doesn't deserve an opportunity, but to create opportunities for the people that you care about, you've got to create opportunities for the people that you care about. You can never live in a space where you don't control things and expect that everything's going to work out the way you want it to. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does this make sense? Like if I live in a space where I have control, if I live in a space where opportunities are created by me, which I do live in that space. It's not a big space. I've never tried to run $100 billion corporation like Elon Musk. I got my little business. And in my little business, I'm the king. I am the king. I am the economic god. I am the king maker. I write the narratives in the space in which I live, and that's because I carefully crafted that space to be designed as such. I don't like to operate in spaces where people that hate my guts are deciding what my fate is gonna be. So you ain't got to have a big house in order for you to have some control and power over your life. But the reality is that I think our children have to be taught this is that in order for you to be a king as a black man, you better learn how to build a castle. It ain't got to be a big castle. It don't have to be an LA Lakers size castle. Those are big castles. They take about 100 years to build. But if you got that little garage where you are fixing cars and that's your little castle where you learn how to make your money and market to your customer and take care of your team, then that's your castle. You the king in that space. Then at that point you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want. But when you are sitting there trying to take shortcuts, we're trying to take these damn shortcuts. Well, I'm going to go work for Massa, be in his organization, be surrounded by his people, and then because I'm going to get paid more money quickly, instant gratification, I'm going to get paid more money quickly, and then I'm going to go in there and expect he going to treat me the way he treats his own people. He ain't going to do that. That is not going to happen. And who makes you think that that is even a reality? There's no data to support this. There's no data to support. So what's going on here? It is, I would agree, Calvin. I think it's a mental illness. I think it's a mental illness. I don't, you know. So let me get back to it. So let's circle back. We're talking about Drake and Kendrick. So let's go back to that. We're gonna let go of the other stuff for a minute. Um, so from a financial consciousness standpoint, if you talk about hip hop and beef and all that, hip hop's an interesting space, largely because the people that run hip hop, they not like us, right? The people that really, the big record labels, the executives at the Universals and the Warner Music Groups and all that, they have this amount of control over the industry because of the money and the capital base that they have, and in the fact and the way they allocated the capital base. And so effectively, there are economic outcomes that occur from these beefs. A lot of these beefs are contrived. The industry executives want to see these beefs. I remember seeing two rappers that were beefing, and it was real bad. It was one rapper out of Ohio named Trippie Redd and another one. And I remember looking up their bios and kind of understanding these guys. I do that all the time. When I want to understand something, I'll do the research. And I don't look at where things are. I look at how we got there. I don't look at who you are. I look at how you became who you are. So I wanted to understand Megan Thee Stallion. I read about her whole family history and the whole and how she grew up and who her influences were. Right. That's how I try to understand things because it's important, right? Because remember, a snapshot in time has a timeline to it, right? When you get to that moment where you see two people beefing or you see somebody accomplish something, the story is not in the accomplishment. The story is in the building blocks that got you to that moment. You understand? So I remember with these two artists, Trippie Redd and the other guy, I don't remember who the other one was, and it was a real crazy beef. It was real violent. Somebody was about to get killed, and I found out I could have sworn that the two guys beefing were represented by the same agent, the same guy. And it was some guy, who wasn't who they not like us, who wasn't one of us, who living in a nice cushy life in the suburbs, who was benefiting financially from the fact that these two rappers were about to kill each other over something stupid. I think one of them robbed the other one and shot at the other. It was just real crazy stuff. Because a lot of rappers get killed, and I have a lot of friends that are rappers, and I've had to have more than one conversation with my friends that are in the hip hop industry to say, "Are you sure you want to do this? You got to be really careful out here because your friend just got murdered, and I don't want that to happen to you." So this affects us And but yet the people that are benefiting financially from all this chaos are not connected to the chaos. So one of the things about feuds that's really important is I think that the Mike Tyson protocol is really important. Remember I was explaining to you earlier how Mike Tyson would get real fired up about the beef. He would hype it up. He would talk about how much he hated the guy. He would go in and knock him out in 30 seconds. And then right after the fight was over, Mike knew that it was time for the beef to end. It was time to shut down the engines before the rocket explodes. It was time to just say, okay, you know what? So again, he'd go into that friendly mode, like, you know what? Well, I really think he's a great fighter, and I really like the guy, and I think he's a hell of a competitor, and he would go and and really be nice to the guy. I remember being very confused by that because I really thought that they hated each other, but it showed professionalism, and it also to me showed that a type of consciousness to say that there are things more important than that beef that you're having with this guy. There are things that are more important than just boxing. There's life. Like you don't want to kill the guy. You don't want to give him brain damage. You don't want to destroy him completely. In fact, if you destroy him, then that guess what? That kills your rivalry. That might kill your bank account because you don't Batman no longer has the Joker, right? So with Kendrick and Drake, that's what I think about with the feud. Is I always say I hope that somebody's smart enough to not let this get too out of hand because then the damage starts to exceed the benefits. But if you want to know about the benefits, here are a few different benefits. Number one, studies show that when rappers beef, their social media followings go up by about 10 or 20%, and their social media engagement goes up by even more. Number two, Drake and Kendrick. I think their last two albums, which I did not listen to. I listen to Kendrick a lot because our son likes Kendrick, but I don't listen to Drake because I really. I, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but I hate Drake's music. I've hated it since the beginning. But his last albums, but people like it, and I acknowledge that. But I'm not one of them. His last album is called Scorpion, and Scorpion and Damn, I think that was Kendrick's album. They both went to the top of the Billboard charts, so that's a win for both of them. Also, their streaming numbers went up 30 to 50% in terms of the number of streams that they got. So both of them benefited in terms of just general attention, social media following, Billboard chart ranking, and streaming numbers. And so that's pretty cool. And they also find that when rappers start beefing, their streaming numbers double within 24 hours if they release a song right away. So Kendrick was really smart from a business standpoint because he knew that while the energy was hot, he had to strike while the iron's hot. Drake didn't have the same energy, and I think that's where Kendrick ended up defeating Drake because Kendrick came in with kind of Tupac Shakur energy. If you remember when Tupac got out of jail, when he was in jail, and Suge Knight went and bailed him out, smart business decision because Suge basically did what we talk about in financial consciousness training. He said it might be hard for me to sign Tupac when he's hot and when he's free and everything's good, but if I go get him when he's an undervalued asset, then maybe I can go ahead and make a deal. So he goes to visit him in jail. They sign a contract on a piece of toilet paper or something interesting like that, which I'm sure that toilet paper could probably be auctioned off for $1 million or something. And so Pac gets out of jail. And first thing he does is he goes in the studio and he's just making song after song after song after song and bringing that energy. So Kendrick kind of did the same thing. Kendrick kind of came in and hit Drake so fast and so hard that it was almost like impossible for Drake to come back from that. I admit, I'm gonna say this, and I just a little side note, I didn't like the term certified pedophile because I feel like the term pedophile is a terrible term to put on another man if it's not true. I think certified means that there's proof, there's a conviction, there's an arrest. Because if it's certified, then someone should be getting arrested for this. And I didn't like that. And so that's where I jump off the bandwagon of groupthink. I don't do groupthink very well. I don't follow the crowd. I follow my conscience. And my conscience tells me that to say something like that about another man, to put that stain on another man for something that literally can get you the death penalty in certain states, I'm just not a fan of that. But beyond that, though, I think Kendrick did win, and I think that was great. One other thing about beefs, though, is that they tend to hurt your endorsement deals. A lot of corporations are very conservative. They don't want to really align with a lot of beef, especially that things that involve black rappers, because if it gets too out of hand, then their corporate brand kind of can get caught in the mix, and they don't like that stuff. Also, sustained negative publicity can actually kill your brand to the tune of 15 to 20% of your brand value. So with Drake, that sustained negative publicity on him, because I think he ended up looking really bad. That's going to really actually cost him long term. Another area that's mentioned in the studies is relationships. And if you remember, if you listen to Kendrick Lamar's song, I listen to hip hop in like with a real critical ear. I don't just listen for the beat and all that. I listen for the lyrics. And so one of the things that and the strategy too. So one of the things Kendrick was doing in his song was he was attacking all of Drake's most significant relationships that gave him street credibility. So he's like, so and so said you were good, but he lied, and you used so and so to get into the club and whatever, right? 21 Savage and I forgot all the rappers he mentioned. I can't remember everybody's names, but he basically was trying to kill Drake's relationship. So what happens is, in my view, is that I think his goal was to make him a little bit toxic. So now a lot of artists don't want to be associated with him because people, again, because of the bandwagon thing, people don't want to be associated with something that's kind of out of style, right? So it was Future and feel free to put the names of the rap. I don't remember the names of the rappers. I can't remember the names that he mentioned. But I thought, but that was interesting because this goes back to what I've talked to you guys about in terms of economic consciousness. Relationships are everything. So if Drake was in fact using these relationships to get certain street credibility that helped him to sell records, well, that's an example of how relationships can help you get things done in terms of business. So even though most of 99% of us are not rappers in here, in general, I would encourage you to really think carefully about your relationships and just know that when you talk about making money and being successful, relationships are probably one of the most important parts of getting that done. So if you run into people that can be beneficial to you, or maybe they can't be beneficial, I think one rule is be nice to everybody, be decent to everybody, be respectful to everybody, because you don't know what that person's going to become. I've seen that. I've seen people where I had nothing to benefit by being nice to them, but I just was anyway. I'll give you a good example, real life example. Charlemagne the God, when Charlemagne got fired from the Wendy Williams show, I thought he was never going to come back. He went to South Carolina. He had that little crappy show on public access TV, and he would call me every week to do an interview. And I did not want to do those interviews. It was getting on my nerves because I'm busy. I'm a workaholic. Especially when I was 34 years old, I didn't want to be doing a whole bunch of other stuff. But I would do these interviews. They were way too long. He talked to me for a whole hour, but I would be very nice because I would remember thinking to myself specifically, I said, if I went through what he went through, and maybe I was 37, 38, because I think that was maybe around '09 or '08, something like that, because the Wendy show just kind of blew up and Wendy left and all that. And I said, if I was in his shoes, I would want someone to be nice to me. I wouldn't want someone to forget about me just because I wasn't on the biggest show in New York. Empathy. Thank you. Calvin, you're so good. Calvin will put a word in there. I'll be like, that's the word I'm looking for. So, Calvin, I need to take you just around with me so you can tell me what you're trying to say, Dr. Boyce. Is you're trying to say empathy. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. So empathy. Yeah, it was empathy. And I was nice to him. And then later on, as I watched Charlemagne get on this show, The Breakfast Club, and he blows up, I'm like, that's so cool. I made a good investment. Similar to when Suge Knight visited Pac when he was in jail and signed the contract on toilet paper. That was kind of my Suge Knight Tupac moment where I was like, you know what? I believe in you. Good luck, man. I hope everything works out for you. I'm just in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, yeah, it don't really work out for most people because you had a golden opportunity. I don't know if that's going to come back for you, but I did not. I think I underestimated his commitment, his determination, and now he's doing great. And it's not because he got lucky. I want everybody to just kind of know that luck does matter. But luck is not going to carry you through life. I mean, you got to be good at what you do. You got to believe in yourself. You got to be committed to it. If you don't have that commitment to whatever it is you're trying to do, then you won't be able to outlast the bad times, right? But the bad times typically end, and sometimes the good times start rolling again, and it's the bad times that really prepare you for the good times, right? It's your ability to remain consistent through the storm that prepares you for when the sun comes out again, because then by that time you're battle hardened and you've repositioned yourself. Do you understand how much my own career has elevated just by me remaining consistent during really tough times? Really tough times are, they say, what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention. And another way to say that would be that when your back is against the wall, that is when you're the most determined. That's when you're the most innovative. That's when you're in the most pain. And pain is connected to growth. Typically growth doesn't happen without discomfort. In order for you to elevate out of your comfort zone, you got to go to the uncomfortable zone. So you're going to be uncomfortable when you're growing. So you kind of have to find some way to embrace the discomfort. And so since we're talking about Mike Tyson earlier, let's bring Tyson in because he had a great quote on this. And they were asking him like they were like, so Mike, what is the key to being a champion? He said, well, what you got to do is you have to find the things that you hate and do it like you love it. You got to do it like you love it. And that's true. You have to find those things you don't want to do, the things that make you uncomfortable, and find a way to do it like you love it. The more you can do that, the more I guarantee you, the more successful you'll become. Because typically, your wildest dreams lie right outside of your comfort zone. They do. And what I think really makes a difference is when you can get into a space where you can become comfortable being uncomfortable, or you are surrounded by a culture that's constantly challenging you to grow. That's where you grow. So don't get caught in that need to grow category where you're just sitting there and you're comfortable and nobody pushes you to become better because you won't get better. You just won't. It sucks. It's hard, but it's true. Every single Olympic athlete, every Olympian that's running in the Olympic trials this past week or this weekend had to go through some discomfort in order to get there. They had to deal with some pressure, right? So deal with that. Again, I don't think since we're talking about Charlemagne, I don't think Charlemagne would be where he is if he hadn't gone through what he went through in the losses that he took. Okay, in fact, I think he did some time in prison. He had to overcome that. So just keep going, be great. Don't give up on yourself. So last point I'll make here is generally speaking, if you talk about this beef, if you want my personal, if I put on my finance professor hat and I give you my perception on the Drake Kendrick thing, both of them won in terms of social media attention, streaming numbers were through the roof for both of them, not just Kendrick, for both of them, and also the Billboard charts. They rose to the top of the charts. I do think Drake, though, is probably looking for the beef to come to an end because I think that there's a lot of reputational damage. Also, in terms of just branding or corporate sponsorships, that you can be hurt in that area. But then sometimes you can be rebranded in a certain way. So, for example, a lot of you mentioned Sha'Carri Richardson. Shout out to Sha'Carri. She just won the women's 100 meters, and she's going to the Olympics. And I love it because Sha'Carri's always had the talent. I'm a big track and field fan. I was a track coach for a while, and I loved watching Sha'Carri run. In fact, Ronnie Baker, by the way, who's running the men's 100 meters, he went to my high school, and I thought it was the coolest thing that we were both captain of the same track team, like, but we were like 20 years apart, but and he's in probably like 20 meters apart in terms of speed. Like, this guy's a speed demon, one of the fastest men on earth, and I'm excited watching him too. But Sha'Carri, I've been watching her for many years, and I've always said that I wish I could sit Sha'Carri down and help her understand the amount of opportunity that she has right now. And I hated to see her show herself as a sore loser, and just kind of act out all for the sake of keeping it real. And this is where the culture can be harmful to you. I said, look, you can still keep it real and be you, but there's a way you want to kind of do this so you don't mess all this up. And I remember thinking to myself, I said, this girl could get a $20 million endorsement because she's got the talent and everything else, but she's messing it up. And what I hated was that people were cheering her on. Like, you keep going, girl. You keep doing it. Don't listen to nobody. Don't listen to Dr. Boy. He gonna mess you up. No, I'm not trying to mess her up. I'm talking to like I would talk to my daughter. Like, look, be you, do your thing, but kind of controlled explosion. Remember, I said controlled explosion. So be you. Be If you want to be hood, be hood. If you want to be hip hop, but controlled explosion. Because when you get outside those boundaries, then you get to the point where nobody wants to mess with you. Nobody will do business with you because you don't have any friends. You don't have no one sees you as a professional. They see you as this outrageous, out of control person. And in the world of business, people don't want to. Smart business people don't want to do business with people that are completely unpredictable and unhinged. So now Sha'Carri has, in my opinion, has found that nice middle ground. She's become like that rocket in the controlled explosion where she's still herself, she's still authentic, she's still got the nails and the hair, and she's still hood, and she still relates. She's the track and field version of Angel Reese. God bless her for that. But then guess what? She just got a lot of big endorsements. With one with Sprite. I saw her do a commercial with Sprite, and I wanted to see how Sprite was going to angle her brand, and they did exactly what I thought they were going to do. Here's what they did. Anybody see the Sprite commercial with Sha'Carri? In the Sprite commercial, they played on the fact that she was a rebel. They played on that. They were like, Sha'Carri, we need you to do this. I ain't doing nothing. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna be me. I don't care. Right? I'm like, that's great. So that's the controlled explosion. She's still getting a chance to be herself, but she's doing it in a way where she's gonna get paid and not get marginalized. Do you understand? Like, the way she was behaving before, I said she's imploding. She is acting like a complete ass when she gets beat. She is not running fast at all. I don't know what was up with that race which she had with the Jamaican women. And she's really kind of giving the impression that she's kind of getting unhinged. Now she's running like the speed demon that she is. I mean, she is so fast. She is so talented. She's kind of the new Flojo in a lot of ways. She doesn't run as fast as Flojo, but I personally think there's some reasons for that, which I won't go into. Um, because again, I'm really a track and field fan, and if you are too, you'll know what I'm talking about. But then also she's really set herself apart in terms of branding. Like she's very colorful, interesting character, and she just knows how to go get that money. So that's what I want for her. I want her to be happy. I want her to win, and that's what I want for all of our kids, right? And I really think this is what young people lose when they're not listening to elders that want the best for them. Anybody who tells you to keep on acting an ass and keep on messing up your life is not um is not a friend of yours. Anybody who tells you to keep on, being hood no matter what the cost is and all that, I don't think that's a person who loves you. It's like sometimes with these rap beefs, they get out of control. Like Tupac and Biggie was not a controlled explosion. It was an explosion that blew up the whole rocket because when you get to the point where young black men who are billion-dollar brands are dying on the street, nobody wants that. And anybody who does want that, they not like us. The people who wanted Tupac and Biggie to literally get out in the street and shoot each other, they not like us. Because anybody who cares about the black community was not happy to see Tupac's dead body in that car, next to Suge. No, you weren't happy to see Biggie dead. These guys should be alive. These guys, if they were both alive, they'd be billionaires. If they were alive, they would not just be billionaires, but if they had the right advice, they could literally create 100,000 jobs for people in their home city. They could be politicians if they wanted to. Maybe good politicians. Maybe they could go, be teaching at Harvard or something. Like Biggie, I think Biggie could be literally. I have friends like that, like D1. D1's one of my buddies. We talk all the time. I love this guy. He was teaching at Harvard last year, and it's kind of sucks that Harvard is claiming ownership of hip hop. Like, come on, what, you have no right to or own any of that. But still, though, I'm happy to see these guys kind of become these elder statesmen like they're supposed to be. A black man is supposed to grow old and he's supposed to live in peace. He's supposed to be a grandfather. He's supposed to be a mentor. He's supposed to be a leader. He's supposed to be somebody that we can all look up to. He's not supposed to be dead. He's not supposed to be on drugs. He's not supposed to be a 50-year-old teenager. He's not supposed to do all these things that the world wants him to be. And so I think that one aspect of economic consciousness is that we have to be in critically committed and not afraid to challenge each other to grow up. So I can tell you personally, I'm not afraid to say these things because I believe to the core of my soul that this is the best direction going forward. Because I'm not just thinking about how much money those other people are going to pay you. I'm not just thinking about how famous you can be or how much clout you can get. I'm thinking about you and your family and your children and your legacy. I'm thinking about the stability of your community. I'm thinking about the prosperity. I'm thinking about what it is that are we winning or are we losing? And I think a lot of people would argue that we're not really winning collectively. We're not winning collectively. But the good news, though, and I'll leave us on a good note here because I don't want to sound pessimistic, is that there are pockets of the black community where you are winning at an extraordinary level. There are pockets in our community where people are investing, they're building strong families, they're breaking generational curses, they're doing healthy things, mentally and physically healthy. So don't think that the whole community is being sucked into the culture. Not everybody is a sheep. Not everybody is a sheep. Not everybody is following along with it, whatever BET told them is the hot trendy thing. Not everybody's going along with that. And I see that. I see that. I see that because I'm a watcher. I'm an observer. Like so I'll be going to Shade Room and I'll see where they'll put up that rapper Sexy Red, who's like the biggest industry plan I've ever seen in my life. Like literally, I need to check her credentials because she got to work for the CIA. This has got to be a psyop from the CIA because there's no black person I know who signed on for any of this shenanigans that this weird lady throws up on there. I feel so bad for her because she's being used. But anyway, every time they put her up there, I read the comments, and the most popular comments are, "What is this shit? Like, what are you doing? Like, what is this crap? Like, nobody likes this stuff. Black people don't want this. We're not co-signing on this." So what that represents to me is not what the black community wants. What that represents to me is what they want from you. It doesn't represent how you see yourself. It represents how they see you. Do you understand? And so you got to understand that you got to make a distinction between how you want to see yourself and how they want to see you. They don't want to see you successful, prosperous, happy, and mature. They want to see you ignorant, a day late and a dollar short, backward as hell, destroying yourself. That's what they want because they not like us. So shout out to Kendrick. I like the song. If you want my interpretation of that song, it is that they not like us. And the sooner we know that they not like us, the sooner we'll be able to get to the point where we are understanding that we are our best ally and we cannot allow others to convince us to become our own worst enemies. That is how we succeed. So love yourself, be great, be good to each other, keep hustling, keep elevating. Because I know that's what I'm sure as y'all gonna do. So I appreciate y'all that are joining me on this journey because I think if we get it together, we can win. They can't hold us back. We are too talented. We are too smart. We are too powerful. We are too extraordinary. We've overcome so much. They're afraid of us because they know how great we can be when we get our shit together. So God bless you guys. I hope you have a great day. Happy Sunday. I didn't mean to cuss on a Sunday. I just realized it's Sunday. I feel bad about that. But anyway, I will see you all tomorrow. We meet every day for economic elevation, financial consciousness training. It's totally free. If you're not on the text list, I will send you an invitation to the private Zoom. Just text the word morning, MORNING, to the number 87948. Just text morning to 87948. Number two, Tuesday, I'm going to do a training called How to Invest in the Stock Market. Y'all promised me on my birthday or maybe before my birthday or something that you would consider investing in the stock market. I'll show you how to do it. So I'll send you a link to join the training, and if you'd like to join, then you're welcome to participate. The materials are yours for life. You can bring your whole family. You can share this. You can send this to whoever you want, and that's it's yours, right? So we're gonna do this Tuesday at noon. So and if you can't make it, the recording will be available as well. So I'll text that out to you. Just text the word morning to 87948, and I'll send it out to you today. And that's pretty much it, guys. And I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.